Welcome back to another Wellness Wednesday. I am your physician gardener, and today's topic is the My Plate method. And so, My Plate, if you're not familiar with it, is what the USDA used to replace the food pyramid. Now, depending on how old you are, back in the day, they used to have a food pyramid. It was a triangle, and it had like the most things you were supposed to eat the most, and then it decreased in amount by the time you got to the top of the triangle. Nobody really understood it. Nobody followed it. Didn't like it. So they replaced it with My Plate. And this is my rough little drawing of what My Plate looks like. Um, I lost my printout that I had, so we're going to improvise for this video. And so my plate just represents what your average plate should look like when you're eating. Obviously, not all your plates are going to look the same. Um, but it's some general principles that are good to follow, and overall I do think it's a good representation of how people should eat. So this is my little drawing plate. All right, so this green section, that's half of your plate. So half of your plate at any given meal should be fruits and vegetables, i.e. green for plants. See what I did there? um, And so fruits and vegetables should make up half of your plate whenever you have a meal. Lots of people aren't used to eating vegetables in the morning, and so usually I tell my patients, you want to eat your fruits half your plate in the morning, and then lunch and dinner half your plate vegetables, and then boom, you have your 4 to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables for the day. Now, a lot of people eat lunches that are like quick and on the go, and so they don't even think about really eating a vegetable at lunchtime. They'll just be like, "Oh, I just eat a sandwich, like a ham and cheese sandwich, or something very similar to that." And so for that, I would say try and throw some veggies on your sandwich. You can do a slice of tomato. You can add some onions, some lettuce, and pile those things on there to get a little bit in. And then on the side, do something like some carrots or some celery or cucumber tomato salad or a little side salad. Something like that would be easy to take with your lunch along with that sandwich if that's what you choose to do. And then at dinner time, that's when most people are used to eating their vegetables. Oftentimes, people's vegetables at dinner time aren't aren't really varied. I would say the most common things people say is that, oh, I eat, a baked potato or mashed potatoes, corn, and green beans. Those are the three things that I hear the most often as people's vegetable with dinner. They all happen to be very starchy, and corn technically is a grain, not a vegetable. And so we need to tease that out a little more. But overall, I'm going to say try and vary your vegetables. You want to eat different colored vegetables. You don't want to always eat the same thing because you're not going to benefit all the vitamins, minerals, nutrients that you could be. And so, if you have potatoes one day, maybe do squash another day, maybe do peppers and onions another day, or asparagus or broccoli. Broccoli is one that people do eat. So that one's more common than a lot of other things. But the grocery store literally has hundreds of different vegetables in it. And so you should not be eating the same thing every single day. Switch it up. Um, Next, we have this little section, which I'm using to represent whole grains. So in that section is actually where I would put corn, and I kind of want to slap potatoes in there also, but we'll leave them in the vegetables. So definitely corn, but other things you can put there are brown rice, uh, oats, quinoa, um, less common grains here. Most people here just eat rice or pasta. So brown rice, or if you can get a whole grain pasta, or they're doing lots of work with making other types of pasta besides pasta made from white flour. So an alternative to flour pasta, unless it's whole grain pasta, can go in that section. Less common things people eat would be like barley or what do you call it, wild grain rice. So things like that would go in that section. And remember, corn is a grain, so that goes in that section, not in the vegetable section. Okay. And then this little pink section down here, that's where I would place your protein. And so A lot of times people will have protein, this whole half of the plate, and then this little section is vegetables. But what we really want is to flip flop that, okay? And so a serving of protein, or let's go with meat because most people eat meat. So a serving of meat is supposed to be the size of a deck of cards. A deck of cards is roughly the size of your palm. So the size of your palm, yeah, that's roughly a quarter of the plate, right? Most people are eating like their whole hand or larger as their meat serving, and that's just too much. Meat often comes with a lot of fat, a lot of cholesterol. The way you cook it usually involves adding some more oil or fat to it, and so you're really overdoing it. You don't need that much protein. A lot of people follow like high protein diets, and that's something totally separate. But in a regular, just trying to eat a balanced, healthy diet, 1/4 of your plate, which is for a meat serving, should be like 3 to 4 ounces per meal. And that gives you more than enough protein that you need for the day. Um, so in general, that's the plate method. On the USDA website, they do have a little cup over here and it says dairy in it. I didn't include that because I have a gripe with dairy. Most people of color are lactose intolerant by the time they hit adulthood, and so I don't really think it's fair to include that on the dietary guidelines. To have people eating things that will hurt their stomach is counterintuitive. So if you can tolerate dairy, you can add a little dairy, but overall, it's not necessary for your total well-being. And I'll do another video on dairy and my little rant about that. So yeah, my plate method. You can go to myplate.gov if you want to get like the official look of the plate. I know it's so bootleg. If you want to get the official look of the plate, it's myplate.gov. And let me know if you have any other questions or suggestions for video ideas. This is your physician gardener signing off.